So first, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And this is a pretty fun, cool, creative idea. I guess thank you, Jill, for joining me on these conversations, because it started the other day when I asked you to like something along the lines of, please, for the love of life, flood Facebook with positive stuff.
That's exactly what you said.
It's exactly what you did. Great. And, mixed in with just finding a creative way to be for connection and empowerment and inspiration and growth with everybody. So
And fun.
Yeah, and fun. So that's pretty awesome. And truth be told, these are the kind of conversations that we have, whether we meet in the hallway or we go for a walk or just really all the time. So I'm excited to put it online.
Me too. I'm excited for people having a window into our conversations. And I think that, I would like to share that you and I, with everyone, that you and I work really hard at working the principles that we learn in our own relationship, even when the going gets tough. And I think we do a pretty darn good job of it, because I know for both of us, we get triggered and want to run away so fast, and yet we stand in it and we stick it out together. And I think we do a pretty good job of living by example to the best of our ability anyway.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, like you say, the going gets tough, and I'm like, it happens a lot. The going gets tough a lot. And I think that's really relative for, the start of this conversation, where I thought we'd kind of what we could talk about tonight, because this is like, we know there's so many times, whether we have it in our interpersonal relationship with each other or other relationships, or it happens in big kind of situational things, workplace, home life, otherwise, just the world. We have like challenging and tumultuous times all the time. And our advantage is that we practice it regularly, like you just said. And so I've been going, like I've been walking, I'm in my isolation and I'm walking out in the forest, so best kind of isolation there is. Yeah. And I'm thinking about like what an extreme experience that this is right now for a lot of people, for a lot of the population, a lot of the world. And kind of made me think of the nature of our like human life, and always being in that change. And it reminded me of that time that you it was many years ago, where you were, I think it was, I don't know, it was many years ago, and you were talking about, you described like the, this circle, like you're being in the center of your sort of circumstance, and getting like stepping up to the edge of that. You sort of demonstrated it, and you described like the turbulent, the airplane turbulent behavior, and how that always gets us to the cusp of, like our circle gets wider, and that always gets us to, like, it's a growth edge, right? It's a growth edge. And you could explain the story better, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes. You want me to explain it better, or you got it covered?
No, just something. I'm just thinking, like, with the idea of that something always comes from the extreme experiences.
Totally. So the way I look at it is that, the universe is always changing, and it's always expanding, and it's always self-observing and creating from itself something new. And as far as our human experience is concerned, and I liken it to the airplane. Airplanes were possible to fly 1,000 years ago, but that was outside, like you talk about our circle, that was outside of our circle. The idea of flying, like people are like, are you kidding me? That's totally impossible. Or even when people thought if you sailed too far across the ocean, you'd fall off the edge of the earth, like our maps had edges, and we didn't know that the earth was round. And people would freak out at the idea of like, how far are you going to sail out in that water? Like you're going to sail off the edge of the earth. And so through, humanity has been through these expansions and these turbulent waters in many, many ways. And so here we are, and it's kind of unique, I think, for us because we're so connected through social media that it's happening for the world all at once, and we're so aware of each other, and that's really cool. And so as we expand, so what my explanation is we have a circle of what our comfort zone is, and I've been thinking about that too. My comfort zone of going to work Sunday to Friday or Thursday or whatever I do, and doing the same routine and advertising the same programs and working with the same people. And there's relative little changes within that, but I go back home and my home life is very routine. And so there's all this routine. And I was thinking, wow, like in order to have a transformational leap on planet Earth, we need to actually get out of our routine, which is the circle's our comfort zone, and something new, something better that wants to be experienced is outside of that circle in a bigger circle. And so in order to move there, we have to push past that comfort zone into something new, and it's uncomfortable, right? We talk about it all the time. Like if you cross your arms, your natural way, and then I ask you to cross them your unnatural way, demonstrate, dirt. It's really hard to do, and it feels really weird. So here we are. We feel weird. We feel uncomfortable. The ground's shifting. We can't get a footing. Each day is different. It's happening so fast, so fast.
Yeah. And those edges, it's like peering over an edge, right? Like the edge of the, like sailing to the end of the ocean and peering over an edge, which can be super freaky. And what you just said about, the idea that the idea of flying an airplane already existed, right? And same with electricity, right? And we just have to find a way to utilize it, is also makes me think about how there's this idea that everything already exists and it's sort of floating around in the in the ethers, waiting to be called into something, moved into something. And so right now, a lot of energy and focus for people is going towards survival and safety. And I was also contemplating how that, how that's sort of centered around what's contagious, right? And I'm like, it's really just our choice. We get to choose what we want to focus and put our attention and practice and awareness on, and then it's all contagious. Like laughter, when we're around a room, sometimes just our girlfriends or our board or whoever playing a game, somebody starts a laughing tangent, and you can't help but be sucked into that.
Right, we're all gone. It's oh, no work is getting done now.
Coming out, and love. I think love's contagious, and really just that, because that can be such an outpouring. You tap into it, and it's spews forth. I just think it's what we want to put our attention in our.
I have a really great example. I was just what's that?
Of course you do.
Of course I do. I was just having this text conversation with my son, and I just had Mirabelle, my granddaughter, with me for the last 5 days. And so I drop her off, and I can just see her. She's sitting in the back of their car, and she's first already downed one orange, and now she's sucking the juice out of another. And her dad's like, "Oh boy, here we go," right? And so the changeover's happened, and he's got his daughter, and he's texting me, oh my goodness, she picked out her food. She won't eat her food. She's hitting us. She's like, and she's 8. She's just being 8 and she's being annoying. And if they don't do what she wants to do, she gets more annoying until they break down and they give her what she wants, right? And he said, I'm afraid we've given in before. And I said, every time you give in, that behavior of hers will escalate because she knows it worked the last time and she just needs to escalate it in order to get a result this time. And so he and his wife, I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, she can get pretty darn annoying. And it's, as parents, we get worn down and we're like, oh, just give her the thing. But every time we give in, that behavior gets rewarded and it becomes something greater. And I can't help but to think there's this similarity to what we put our attention to, right? So I was letting him know, it's like, you can't give in because it will get bigger. You have to stay the course. You have to be, clear in your boundaries. You have to have consistent results for her. No matter what she does, you have to create some consequences that are either real or creative in a way that helps her realize that you have boundaries, your boundaries mean something. And isn't that like our focus in what we want to create in our life? Because if we hold a focus, and if I decide I want peace in my life, like, that's really important. I want to have this inner sense of peace. And then, even if you, like our conversations sometimes go, even if we get together and we're having this moment where we've both triggered each other, it doesn't feel very peaceful at all, right? And if I give into that, just as a parent gives into the child's behavior, if I give in to our trigger moment and that feeling of disharmony inside, and I want to run, and I run, and I don't stick with my passion around peace in my life, if I don't hold fast to that, then I just escalate the trigger. And the next time we get together, because my trust in you and your trust in me will disintegrate, and peace will lose hold, right? So it's the same with them and their daughter. It's like, if they don't hold fast to the kind of harmony they want to create in their home and creating boundaries, if they don't hold fast to that, and that outer circumstance, which is happening in our world today, right? It knocks. And if we give into it, then it starts getting stronger and stronger. So it's important for us to get really clear. And it is contagious, because what happens, I know when she's with me, oh man, she pulled one of her fast ones. She's very, it's very important to her that she's like everybody else. Good luck having a grandma like me, right? So we're biking around town this weekend, and we're pulling up to the babysitter's house, and I've got an e-bike, and so we're probably going about 20-25 kilometers an hour. We're cruising pretty fast on a bike, and we start getting close to the babysitter's house, and I'm pulling her. She's on a towing, like a bike that I pull with my bike. And I sense some movement in the back, and I look behind me to see what she's up to. She's let go of the handlebars. She's pulled off her gloves, taken off her helmet and her headband, because she doesn't want the babysitter to see her wearing a biking helmet, because she looks around and nobody else is wearing one but grandma. Grandma's just weird. So she takes it off, and immediately, like, safety first, right? Immediately, I slam on the brakes and I go, Mirabelle, like I lost it on her. I'm like, that helmet goes on right now. Like, there was just no boundary, or there was a boundary. There was no crossing it. There was no middle ground. There was just, this is what we do. We're on the bike. It's unsafe. If you want to walk, get off and you walk. But you are not being on this bike without a helmet. And it was just clear. And she just went, sorry, grandma, I won't do it again. Right? But she knows I mean it.
Yeah.
And I also mean, I want peace. I also mean, I live from joy. I also mean, I hold to the highest esteem these principles. And everyone around me knows that I am working it to my best ability as every day to the best I can.
Mm-hmm. And it does make a huge difference. Like even like it makes so much sense what you just said, because I'm thinking about how much differently I don't know, that I deal like that I encounter life, and that I have a different experience, because I've put such, time, attention, focus, clear lines around learning and discovering and growing, and well, self-awareness at the end of the day, that I have a totally different experience when I run into anything that that's otherwise out of the normal routine. So it makes perfect sense. And I'm often reminded about how I think you've really driven it into my mind over time, because I almost hear your voice when I hear it in my head. But that idea that, like, of infinite possibility, right?
Yeah.
I hear Jill's voice say, like, in this world of infinite possibilities, there's like infinite possibilities, not just this one and this one that are only what I'm calculating at the time. So, even what's happening right now in, like, present day life situation, extreme experience, I can't help but think, like, it's now my reflex to go, somehow this is going to be for us in some way.
Has to be.
Somehow,
It's a
right?
spiritual truth.
Yeah.
It has to
And
be.
we don't, and sometimes you can't know. I thought about, reminds me of like a past hard separation, like from somebody, splitting up with someone and being like totally devastated. Well, the person, and being totally devastated, that shaking my whole world, and go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then come out the other side, not so long later, and go like, wow, like, thank you. That was really, like, my life is like right on track and so
Better.
much better and growing and beautifying. And, so sometimes it's like, you can't, sometimes it looks horrible. Other times it seems like you just don't know. Like, you just can't tell how it's going to be. You can't, and right now I feel like that. I feel like it's too soon to know. And yet I totally know that it'll be for us.
That's really great. I like that because, I think about that, like trying to predict what the future is going to be. Like, we have no idea. We really have no idea.
This little
And
peanut brain in the cosmos. No.
and yet I love what you said. And yet we do. That it's always going to be for us. Always. In some way it unfolds, and it's always for us. And I think if if we can resist that, we can push against that. But I look at little things like again, my e-bike I bought, I don't know, a month ago now, I guess, coming up that. And I wasn't going to buy it until my taxes came through, because I knew I was going to get some taxes back, and I was going to use that money towards my e-bike. But instead I thought, whatever, I'm going to buy it now. And I'm going to get myself a little line of credit or whatever, and I'll buy it now and I'll pay it off. Anyway, I was pondering that today, thinking, had I waited, I wouldn't, first of all, I would be now, and I've emailed my accountant yesterday. Normally she's like on it and she emails me back. I have all the information in from our taxes, but now she's not responding. Right? I'm sure there's just like craziness going in everybody's inbox. And I wouldn't have bought my bike, and I would be in a place of fear around that.
Right.
Like I talked with somebody who works at a car dealers, right? They have a job selling cars. And we were saying, like why keep the doors open? Who's going to buy a car right now? Like,
right.
it's like a low priority. My e-bike would have been a would have moved from a high priority to a low priority. So I look at it and go, wow, that turned out perfectly. I didn't know that this was going to happen. But in me, when I listened to the in me was, no, I want my e-bike now. And it's proven to be a really positive part of my life. And it's proven to be, have so many more attributes in my life than I thought. It seems trivial, but we are a one-car family, and I use my e-bike for all my transportation. I don't use the car anymore unless I need to go down to Victoria, which I hardly ever need, or going on a dog walk down to Cumberland. So yeah, anyway, I don't know if that's a good example, but I was just little things like that have when I go back in time and I go, wow, that was actually the perfect decision for now.
Yeah, no, I think everybody can see that. Some, like, if they actually do go through a timeline of their life, it all kind of makes sense and it all works out beautifully and, you know, helpfully. So the other thing I was going to ask you, because of course I ask you most things about my life, pretty much all of it, was, you know, so aside from like that kind of idea of just trusting, just the notion of this is going to be for good in some way, and I can come up with a list of ways. I already have sort of been like, oh, it's going to be good for the planet to take this little break, and it's going to be, you know, like she can do a lot in a short amount of time.
Already is.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I've been doing personally is like I have my daily meditation practice, but I have been adding a night before bed one. And like, yeah, it's great. It makes a huge difference. And the other thing that I've been that's been on the forefront of my mind is like making the best of this time, right? Making, like, there's so much I can do with the extra time, right? Lots of people have it. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What am I doing? Yeah. I've been looking after my granddaughter.
What are you going to start doing now that you brought her home?
Actually, her and I did start. I've been, I really love, another thing that I thought of how brilliant in all of this, watching people's survival mode kick in. I got passionate last fall about turning our front yard into a vegetable garden and fruit and berries. And if you were to drive by our house, we're on South Murphy. We're the ones with the straw spread over the grass and the rocks piled up for stepping stones through the garden. And so I've got seedlings started inside, and I'm passionate about growing food. I'm passionate about taking space, like a lawn, that is a really poor use of space in my mind. We fertilize it, we water it to cut it, to put it in the garbage, to decompose. Doesn't even make sense to me. And so our neighbors, when we moved in, were really excited because they thought we were going to start cutting our lawn more regularly and fertilizing it and watering it and making it all green and pretty in their idea. And sure enough, now we got straw spread all over the lawn. Anyway, I'm really passionate about it. I'm really excited about it. My husband wants to put up a fence and make it look neat and tidy, and I'm just really into the organic unfoldment of it. And moving rocks a couple a day or one a week. They're big rocks, rolling them up the hillside. And so getting in the earth for me is just a real, like, I can't even begin to explain how that is just so grounding. Like, I could really spend hours. And I have a tree an old vine, we killed the vine and it's still up in the tree, and climbing up in the tree and cleaning out the vine, like just being and touching nature.
Yeah, totally. It's like your yard is a canvas.
totally is a canvas. Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of bleeds into my indoors. I'll have to wait for a rainy day. There doesn't seem to be one coming up, but I've been working, some of you've seen on some of my live posts, I've been working on painting a sunflower on one of my walls in my house. And so it's not finished. And so it's kind of like the garden comes inside too. So it's like a canvas inside. It's just that creativity, and
yeah,
it's really grounding.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect point, right? Like it's a great time to be creative. Like so many people have different ways in which they are and different ways in which they want to be. And so sort of like, yay, now's the time.
Yeah, totally.
Better
And
time,
this,
right? Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's great. So I think that's a great place to stop and say thank you, everybody, and join us every day at
go to
some
our
time.
website, go to the Facebook page. I know we said we're going to be live at 6:30, but it seems like a really bad time on Facebook. I'm going to upload this video once I get it, so it might not be till later. You'll see it and then you'll hear this. Anyway, the times are going to be wonky because I think everybody's going onto social media and posting stuff and doing live streaming. So social media can't deal with, I think, the influx. So just stay posted, check in on our website, check in on Facebook, and we're going to be posting this also to our YouTube page, which I will be giving you the link in Facebook and on our website.
Yay.
It's www.cslcampbellriver.org.
Good job.
You're not supposed to look at yourself.
I know. Bloopers and all.
Thanks, Collette. I so love and appreciate you.
Yes.
And everybody else. Yay.
Yay.